A 2-month-old baby boy is recovering at Sick Kids after the car he was in was hit by a suspected impaired driver near Kitchener. The crash last night killed his mother and left him in critical condition. His family tells us he just got out of surgery. The baby's father and grandmother, who were also in the car, suffered minor injuries. A 26-year-old man from Kitchener faces 8 charges, including impaired driving, causing death. Last weekend alone, the OPP says it charged more than 100 people with impaired driving. The consequences, we know, can be life-ending or life-altering. Let's head back to Ali Chiasson now. And Ali, you spoke to a young man today who knows that all too well.
Yes, 24-year-old Dean Wardak takes us back to what he describes as the worst decision of his life. He is quadriplegic, but lucky to be alive, and he says he considers himself lucky to this day not to have killed anyone. He says that he is heartbroken any time he hears about these fatalities that happened. The one that we saw, of course, we've been talking to you about, that rendered a 2-month-old in recovering at Sick Kids and their 29-year-old mother dying. Just to have a listen to how he deals with this kind of stuff these days.
First, after I came out of the coma, I was completely oblivious to what happened. And then it hit me. This nightmare was a reality. That night I got really drunk and ended up leaving the party, walking back to my house, getting into my car and driving off of the street. And just a few blocks away, I crashed into a tree going like nearly 100 kilometers an hour. Whenever people tell me about it, they said the accident scene looked like a bomb went off.
You said the car was like ripped in half?
Yeah, where the tree was, it ended up being in the stick shifter right beside me.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm pretty lucky to be alive right now.
So we're coming off of a very dangerous weekend on Ontario roads, and just last night we had a fatality, a young mother, and the baby was airlifted to hospital in critical condition. I'm wondering, when you hear stories like that, where does your mind go?
I can't even imagine how they feel losing a loved one to someone that could have prevented that from happening in the first place. And then the next thing I think after that is how lucky I am that I only injured myself because of my accident. I'm actually really grateful I hit a tree, because if I were to hit another car, that could have been another person dead or injured for life because of my wrongful decisions. And honestly, if that were to have happened, I would not be able to live with myself, having it on my conscience. That's all it takes, is just one bad day for bad circumstances to happen, and then the next thing you know, your life has changed forever.
So Dean undergoes intense physiotherapy every day to get back on his feet. He can stand for a little bit, but not too long. Right now, he says that he has completely dedicated his life to teaching young people about, the consequences of impaired driving. And we spoke to the OPP today. We wanted to get some more stats on how we're trending for this year. So already over 6,500 impaired driving charges have been laid across the province, and 34 to 35 fatalities have been reported. That sounds like a lot, but it's actually down when you compare them to last year. But of course, the OPP says that those numbers are still large. It's pretty unbelievable that this is still happening. So they hope if drivers don't listen to the police and their campaigns, perhaps they listen to the victims' stories, or stories like Dean there about what not to do and just how life-altering one quick decision can be.
Yeah, that message so much stronger coming from somebody like Dean. Thank you for that, Ali.